All right, tonight we'll start off here at the GFS. And guys, right now, thankfully, we are experiencing some light precipitation in the northwest, and things are kind of leveling out right now in areas that has been bombarded with floodwaters, 50s and 60s. But this is also bad for snow melt, so we don't want to get too hot at this point. Let's make sure we're on the most updated forecast here. And looking at the temperatures for tomorrow on the 27th, again, high pressure across the northeastern part. Temps start to be a little bit more like spring in Colorado, Kansas, parts of Nebraska where we have the floods. So continue to see that spring warm-up temperature, and that cold Arctic blast that I thought we were going to see for the first week of April is not quite as strong as originally thought. So we will, I think, here in the next 8 to 10 days, we will probably see the last bit of this harsh, I don't know about harsh, but cold winter, and spring will finally start to appear in the majority of the United States as we get through parts of, well, this is the first week of April. As you can see, we're seeing 70s and 80s in the deep south. Temperatures now starting to moderate across the country into the 70s and 60s. It's still a little chilly in the northwest still. So continue to watch that as they'll be continuing to deal with their thaw. And definitely there shouldn't be any snow on the ground at this point in April on the 11th. And that's the temperatures. Now let's take a look and see what kind of precipitation we have on tap here over the next several days. And we'll start with Tuesday here. Let's go back here. All right, so right now we're kind of quiet. We kind of need that. It's been busy, busy, busy as far as when it comes to our weather. We go through Wednesday, kind of quiet, a little bit more action in Northern California actually on Thursday, March 28th. And of course, Washington and Oregon will get scattered showers, snow across Montana going into Friday, and just a very light system kind of trekking across the northern plains into Nebraska with more moisture that we don't need at this point. Scattered rain before we get the snow, but this does turn into snow as we go into Saturday, March 30th. And here comes some more moisture for Indiana, Illinois, and of course the Ohio Valley. Snow on the top of this. So on the Canadian side of this storm, we're going to see snow, but it's going to stay just above where we need to be. But all the way from Texas to Maine, we will see rain Saturday, March 30th, going into Sunday. And this snow that we're seeing here on the tail end, this is overnight, folks. This is during colder temperatures overnight. I'm not confident at all in how much snow we actually get here in the northeast here. Now, as far as areas, Connecticut, New Hampshire, further into Maine, I believe that you probably will see a little bit of snow, but this is going to be overnight and very light. And of course, temperatures have been above freezing for a while, so that's not going to stick. And then April Fool's Day starts off quiet. Northwest, you start off with another system. You got to watch this system here in the Gulf as it comes through the deep south and kind of gets its act together here by the 2nd of April. Now, another snow system is moving its way into the Rockies by the 3rd of April, and this storm here on the East Coast really gets itself together. And yeah, this is almost pretty much an old-fashioned nor'easter. Now, right now, GFS has this thing just sitting on the edge of our coast. Thankfully, this snow system that's moving through on the 3rd through Colorado and the Rockies is a quick hitter and does not appear to be too much, but again, rain in Nebraska and Iowa, areas that are already flooded and are expected to remain flooded. But looking at this system here, this is what we're going to have to watch here in the coming days. This has all the ingredients for a late season nor'easter, and right now the temperatures are showing that it's going to cooperate for an all rain event until it gets out to Scotia. By that time, the storm is gone through the 5th, but I'm not saying that this won't shift. I mean, this is far enough out to where we could see this shift out further in Atlantic or maybe a little bit further inland where coastal flooding will be a possibility. So this would be more of a rain and flooding and wind event if in fact it does shift a little bit further inland. And we've got a whale of a storm here in the northwest the next weekend, April 6th. Another low pressure system invades the northeast and spreads moisture. More moisture coming up through the Gulf. As one system leaves in northwest, another one enters. So northwest and northern California, once again, we will see heavy precipitation into the beginning of April, like we did in the beginning of March and February as well. Another low pressure system also 8 days after the possibility of one nor'easter on the East Coast, we are seeing another low pressure system getting its act together, trying to anyway, and stay on the coast. Now this one's just simply too far out to even tell. But remember, we had 4 or 5 nor'easters last March. This year, last weekend we had a weak nor'easter, and then we're starting to see a couple of returns here where in the future, the first 2 weeks of April, we might have the possibility for 2 nor'easters. Now these will be rain events, maybe some mixed precipitation. Right now they don't look to be any kind of major snow events, but if you live in Canada, your winter's not over yet, but here in the lower 48, we do seem to be dodging some bullets, but lots of moisture coming through the United States from the Gulf, across the plains, through the Northwest. The Rockies will see some snow off and on through April 9th into the 10th. So I'd like to say that's the last time you guys see snow, the weekend of the 11th, but with the way those jet streams are acting right now and just how the weather has been, it just seems the forecast is changing every 3 to 4 days. So we'll definitely have to keep our eyes on this. So we've got 2 major systems to watch in the coming days. One around the 1st, right here. It kind of gets its act together on the 3rd of April. This one to watch. And then again, about 6 days later, another low pressure system tries to form and get its act together as well. But another large low pressure system coming down from the northern plains into the Midwest, into Iowa, where they don't need the rain, Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee. Tennessee's already seen flooding this year. Again, guys, my huge concern right now is crops and how late are we going to see our farmers in the fields this year. We reported on it last year where we saw farmers jumping into the fields into mid-May, some as early as early June. If I'm not mistaken, Wisconsin was one of those states that didn't get to plant until late May. Montana might have been another place as well. But right now, we're not sure when the flooding is going to stop from the snow melt. Some forecasters are saying some areas across the northern plains and the Midwest could see flooding through middle of May. Have you heard that rumor as well?
What was that?
Talking about flooding through the month of May.
Oh, that's no rumor. NOAA came out and said it.
Well, it's got to be true then, right?
Yeah, well,
If
you know
Noah
what I
said
mean.
it.
I mean, they're telling the truth this time. Obviously, with this moisture, and then considering the snow melt and everything. I mean,
Well, they're telling the truth because
it's
actually people's lives are probably at stake right now if they don't tell the truth about this.
there's no. What they're flubbing is the historical temps and current capture temperatures. They know what they're doing, but for this kind of stuff,
El
you know,
Nino.
Jake.
El Nino Region 3-4, still, in my opinion, not El Nino strength. And we saw the increase to reach somewhere in the 1.0 region. Remember, 0.8 to 0.12 is where you need to see it for at least a 3-month run, and we're not even through a month. And these El Nino temperatures are struggling to stay at a 0.742. So very, very weak El Nino, Modaki, whatever you want to call it. I'm not impressed. I don't think we have. I don't think we're going to have to see. TSM Solar Observations shared with me as well too, and I agree with him. We're not going to see anything drastic this summer when it comes to global temps. We might see a slight uptick on Dr. Roy's reports over the next couple of months, but it's not going to put us back into the part where we're talking about. I'd be shocked if we went up to 0.6 or higher in the anomaly. I doubt that's going to happen. We're still right there at 0.36 above baseline. So with the summer forecast that I saw from weather.com, they're really relying on this IBM computer that they're using to forecast their temperatures. And what was interesting is that when NOAA was still predicting a warmer winter in most places for the United States, I noticed that that's when the Weather Channel all of a sudden flipped, like, we're going to use this IBM thing because it seems to be working. And then they started talking about solar cycles and this IBM computer, and how it's going to be colder in the winter than what they thought. And now weather.com is saying that for the majority of the central United States, from Texas all the way up to Montana, we're talking about slightly cooler than normal temperatures for the summertime. As far as the east and the northwest, it's slightly above. Parts of the northwest was going to be cooler slightly, but nothing jumping out like how NOAA was trying to tell us that majority of the country was going to be 40% warmer than usual, and that didn't happen. Just like El Nino, they were 90% confident that it was forming in October, and that didn't happen. They even raised it to 60%. They dropped it to 60, trying to be realistic, and that wasn't enough. And then they rose it right back up to 90% because they saw indications that they were going to get their atmosphere and their temperatures. They're going to get their acts together and couple and all that good stuff, and voila, a slight El Nino. So, anyway, we'll just continue to watch this, guys. This is already an interesting start to our spring. We've had record snows. I think this winter was a more constant cold. It was a more constant snow. I think the areas that used to see snow on the ground from January to March probably got their first average looking or above average looking winter in most places. I know the Northeast, if you talk to the locals, they've seen worse. You talk to a Midwestern like me, to actually experience seeing snow covering the ground for 3 straight months. I didn't even do that in Buffalo last year. We had, fortunately, we had a couple thaws in between. This stayed pretty constantly cold up here, so it was an interesting winter for me, but I know other places as well. And when you're talking about Colorado, 144% above its snowpack, wow. Very, very large concerns. We've already had flooding all over the United States, if you think about it too, guys. Arizona saw flooding. California has seen flooding. We've seen flooding in parts of Washington and Oregon, Montana. Minnesota's on alert. Wisconsin's on alert. Places that have heavy snowpack that are going to see warming temperatures, especially across the Central Plains. The warm-up is going to be focused from Colorado to Missouri and from Texas all the way up to the Canadian border. So we're going to start seeing these rapid temperature increases, swelling rivers, and of course, on top of that, we have rain moving in across the country, several different systems that's going to bring us precipitation over the next several weeks. And I'll go ahead and put this in motion one more time for us. A couple days, we get some quiet, we get some more action here this weekend across the Midwest into the Northeast. And then, of course, that possible storm on the East Coast, we could be dealing with that next weekend. More moisture across the plains, more moisture in the Northwest. I mean, we are on a steady line after the 29th of March. We are in a steady line of precipitation and storms moving through the United States almost on an every other day basis. 2 or 3 leave the states, and here comes more. So I see a very active spring, more rain, possibly more snow for the upper northern part of the northern plains. But we shall see. I know I've been wrong a couple times, and I hope I'm wrong now. I hope it settles down a little bit and gets some normalcy, because God knows we need it in Nebraska and Iowa and other places in the Midwest that look like we're about to see some more potential flooding rains. Other than that, I think I got everything I wanted to share tonight. Mari, did you want to say hello to anybody in the chat, or are we good?
I've been giggling and chatting through the whole show, haven't I, Jake?
I guess so.
Well, hello everyone in the chat. It's always a pleasure. There's all kinds of topics going on in the chat. I have no idea even where to start. Mike, he is an independent truck driver, and he runs out of the Midwest corridor. So he's seen firsthand being a truck driver, delivering supplies to people. Thank you very much. He says the rates right now for trucking are awful, and the flooding has wiped out several places that he gets freight from, and he has to take alternate routes, and it's quite the mess down there. He said he's paying more for everything out on the road. The freight rates are down 30% or more, so he's upset that the food costs are already up. they certainly aren't paying him more to haul everything. So
Well, and that's
it's just interesting to hear firsthand information from the people down in the Midwest, because it is hard to figure out what's real, what's not, and I find social media and the firsthand accounts are the most credible. We've seen some amazing footage, amazing photos, amazing video from people, and it is very unfortunate, the video with the grain mills. Just what a mess. They'll do whatever you can to keep it out, the
the truth.
information away from people. So the footage, I'll post it on our website separate, just not on YouTube. It's just really makes you think perspective. It can happen anywhere, these floods, and it's just truly devastating to see these farms suffer. And I don't think we could talk about it enough. And I really do feel it's being downplayed and sort of hushed up a bit. It just doesn't seem, I don't know.
No, you're
It's
right.
upsetting.
You're right. There's too many other unimportant things that are being highlighted in our mainstream media. And meanwhile, this truck driver he's legitly talking something we've been warned about from 2 years ago, and that is when we start seeing crops being wiped out, you're flooded out, you can't get deliveries to and from, you've got to find alternate routes, you're spending more on fuel, you're spending more time to get there, but you're not getting paid more money for it. So what comes next? Possibly a freight strike. I mean, I'm not trying to fear it up, but that's legit. If you raise, like I've noticed too, I drive a lot more than usual, and gas prices have went up 20 cents in the last 2 weeks. So we're almost back up to $3 a gallon. We're at $2.65. I saw as high as $2.69. So, sorry, Mar, I didn't mean to jump in front of you there.
No, there's a lot of other people talking about different topics. Just want to say hi to everyone. I'm not going to really dive into it. It's 10 o'clock on a Tuesday night.
It's time to roll. All right, guys. Well, we appreciate you tuning in, Mari. Thank you for your animated report at the end of the show. As always, appreciated.
Animated for sure, Jake. Thanks for your
brilliant
commentary too.
We gotta put you on a camera sometime. Folks need to know.
I got a radio voice.
Maria's got she's got a mojo about things. The way she moves, it's adorable.
Sassy, aren't
it? It is sassy. All right, that's enough of us gushing over each other. Please like and share tonight's broadcast, and stay tuned for tomorrow as we will have another solar update. Give you a quick update on today's headlines and what's going on with our space weather. We will be back Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, we will talk soon. Take care, everybody.